Okay guys, so we are looking at loop. Okay, loop and JavaScript. Okay, in loop we use it to execute number of codes without actually writing too much code. Okay, for example, I want to do alert. Maybe I want to do something like this. Let me say alert, I love programming. Okay, I want to alert this I love programming like 20 times. Instead of me doing this, I kind of copy and paste 20 times. I can use loop to write this once and tell computer to execute it 20 times. Okay, so this is the function of loop, to execute code for so many number of times. I can even tell computer execute this loop for like 1000 times. Okay, instead of me copying and pasting this, I might end up not even counting the exact number and all that. So loop is being used to execute a code for number of times. Okay, so in loop there are three ways we can loop. Okay, there are three ways we can loop. We have the for loop. Okay, we have the while loop. Okay, we have the do while loop. All of them are loop and all of them can perform the same function, okay, without any problem. So it depends on the one you know best. Okay, the ones that works for you best. Like me, I normally use while loop. Okay, some people prefer using this, some people prefer using this. If you can learn three of them and prefer using three of them, good and fine. Okay, they are just used to perform codes or run code for a number of times. So let's start with the one of for loop. For loop, I'm going to first of all give a syntax of it, then we'll now give example of it. The same thing goes, the example I will use for loop is the example I will use for while loop and do while loop. Okay, so that you will see that three of them are actually performing the same stuff but in different codes. Okay, so let me start by creating a file. Let me call this file loop. Okay, loop.html. okay, as you all know, I do my basic tag for HTML version 5. Okay, I call it loop. Okay, so I do my script. Okay, inside here now we are now moving for loop. Okay, for loop has this syntax. Let me just put it in a kind of let me put it in a comment. Okay, so that I will not clean it. Okay, for loop we have something like this for. Okay, then statement goes here. Okay, when the statement goes here, then our code goes here. Okay, code goes here. Okay, the statement that we are going to make here, this is not a condition but rather a statement. The statement is not one statement. Okay, the statements that we are going to make here will determine how the number of times code here is going to run. Okay, the number of times code here is going to run. For loop normally makes use of three statements here. Okay, the first statement talks about the starting point. Okay, the first statement starts with the starting point, like I said. Okay, the starting point. Okay, the second one talks about the endpoint. I will explain what I mean by this. Okay, whereby now separated again with semicolon, whereby the last one now talks about the increment point. Okay, let me just bring this thing down so that we can all see it clearly. Okay, bring it like this. Okay, talked about the first one. Okay, I say it has 3 statements. First one talks about the starting point. Second one talks about the end point, and the third one talks about the increment point. Okay, increment point. Okay, there are a lot of ways we can increment, which I will explain. Okay, so for instance, assuming we want to alert this, I love programming like I use 10 times. Assuming we want to alert this 10 times, how are we going to do it? Or we want to alert it 20 times. Okay, how are we going to do it with loop? Okay, let me give an instance using the for loop. Okay, we have the for loop now. Okay, what we want to actually perform here is this. Okay, we want to alert I love programming. Okay, and we say we want to alert it 10 times. Okay, so we are going to write 3 statements here that will make this thing to work 10 times. Okay, the first one is I'm going to start the first statement. I will say let I is a variable. I can be anything. Okay, let me say let me not use a reserved word. Okay, let me say let num loop. Okay, let num loop equals to 1. Okay, I say the starting point now is 1. Okay, let the num loop now be greater than or equal to 10. Okay, that is the end point. Okay, we say we want to make it 20. Okay, I will say like this 20. So start from 1, continue doing this until when the num loop is 20. What is the increment? The increment is num loop plus plus. Okay, the last one now has no semicolon. Okay, let me run this code, then I will explain what this statement. Remember, the first statement end with semicolon, second statement is this. Okay, third statement. Now this code now will run this alert 20 times. Okay, it will run it 20 times. Okay, let's test this code. Reveal in Explorer. Okay, now open. Oh, okay, I think there's something we are not doing well here. Okay guys, this is variable. Okay, you write it variable. Okay, not let. Variable loop is equals to 1. Variable loop should not be greater than 20 as this thing is running. Variable loop should be incremented by 1. Okay, I will explain this. Let me run this code first. Okay, it's still not working. Something must be the problem. Okay guys, I have noticed the error. It's not a matter of var or let. I can even decide to remove this. Okay, look at where I make this error here. This should be less than 20. Okay, I will explain. Okay, I will explain. Let me refresh. Okay, our code runs. Okay, Let me not be counting it now. Okay, so let me explain what I did here. I says you start from 0. Okay, while the number is still less than 20, continue to display the string. Okay, for loop is equals to 1. The highest point is 20, increase by 1. Okay, now what I did is that loop, you start from 1, and while this is less than 20, continue doing this. But once you do this, increase this loop by 1. For instance, this is 1, it is not up to 20, it will be increased by 1. This will happen. Remember, we have increased this by 1, so it becomes 2 this time around, which is not up to 20. It will increase again. This will happen. Remember, from 2, this have increased it to 3. It will check, it is not up to 20. Increase again. This will happen. So it keep on doing it like that, like that, like that, like that, until it is no longer less than 20, which means until it becomes 20. Okay, so we can decide to number them. Can decide to number it by doing something like this. For number, for number, give a space, then add this variable that I created, num loop. Okay, let me try to explain this again before we now run this code. Okay, just know that this is to increase by 1. Okay, I will explain this later. Okay, just understand the whole of this program, but notice that whenever we have plus plus to any variable, especially any variable that has a number as a value, whenever we have plus plus, we are increasing it by 1. Okay, now we says we created a variable in this statement. We says the variable name, if I like I use var, if I like I don't use. Okay, the variable name is loop, the value is 1. Now you say computer, check if loop is less than 20. If this num loop is less than 20, do this. Okay, but before you do this, increment it by 1 first. Okay, now remember, this variable is 1, this is increasing it, so this shows us the current value when this was working, when this alert was going on. Okay, so like we have 1 here. Okay, let me just say 0 so that we can start counting from 1. We have 0 here. We check 0 is not up to 20. We increment 0 by 1, which means our num loop now will now become 1. That is adding 1 to this 0. Okay, so what we'll have in the first stage is, I love programming for number 1 because we have increment from 0 to 1 here. Then this comes again. Okay, it now becomes 1 because we have incremented it to 1. Check. Okay, this is 1 is not up to 20. Increment it again by 2. It will alert I love programming for number 2 this time around. It will keep on doing it until this becomes number 19. Okay, when this becomes 19, it comes again. Okay, it is not up to 20. It will work again. When this becomes number 20 now, okay, this loop will stop. And once this loop stops, we are not going to see number 20. So we'll be counting from 1 to 19. Okay, let's test this code. Okay, let me just refresh. No, I have to close this. It's still looping. Okay, so that I can easily open it and start all over again. Okay, you see we have number 0 now. This is when the num loop is 0. Okay, it works again for number 1. You see it. Number 2, number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It will continue like this until 19. Okay, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. You see it goes off. Okay, counting from when it is 0 to 19. Once it reaches 20, it will no longer work. Remember, we say number of loop will be less than 20 before this will work. So when this num loop becomes 20, this will not work. Okay, so in our increment now is what I want us to look into. Okay, let me move it this side. Okay, anytime we add plus plus to a variable, we are incrementing that variable by 1. We're kind of doing something like this. Num loop is equals to num loop plus 1. Okay, this thing you see here and this thing are just the same thing. Okay, but this is the shortcut. Assuming we have let me say we have num loop and our num loop is 20. Okay, so whenever we do something like this, we are saying our num loop now becomes this num loop here 20 plus 1, which is 21. Okay, so we are kind of incrementing our num loop by 1. Remember, num loop was 20. We now say num loop, okay, we now say num loop equals to num loop plus 1. This num loop now is this 20 we have here plus 1. We now assign it back to num loop, making it 21. Instead of doing something like this, okay, you can just use plus plus. Once you add plus plus, it will add 1 to the value. That's exactly what we are doing. Add 1 to the value, do this, come back again, add 1, do this, come back until you become 20. Okay, this is for the plus plus. Okay, let me comment it. Okay, now we have the one of minus minus. Okay, just opposite of this, decreasing it by 1. Okay, decreasing it by 1. When we say minus minus, we are talking about minus 1 here. Okay, assuming this is 19, once we do number loop minus minus, we minus 1, it becomes from 20 to 19 to 18 to 17 until it becomes or until it meets up to our condition. Okay, assuming we want to use minus minus here, I will do this thing something like this. If you are less than 1, okay, this becomes 20. Okay, this becomes minus minus. Okay, this will start counting from 20 to 1. Okay, once it is 0, it will stop. Okay, let me explain this. Since I'm using minus minus, I'm saying the variable is 20. Okay, check if this is less than 1. You can see that 20 is not less than 1. This code will run, but before this code will run, we decrease 20 by 1. Now 20 now becomes 19. Okay, so this initially will show 20. Second time when we decrease it, it will show 19. Third time it will show 18. It will continue like this until it becomes 1. When it becomes 1, it goes over again. Num is not less than 1. Since num is 1, it is still not less than 1. Now this will reduce it now to 0. Once it is 0, it means that num is now less than 1 and the 0 own will not run. This will start from 20 counting down. Okay, let me run this code so that we can see it. Okay, you see it now. We start from 20. We are now decreasing 19, 18, 17, 16, 15. We will decrease like this until we reach to 1. The next one will not execute because it will now be less than 1. You see it? See what we have? Okay, so this is for the minus minus, right? Okay, we have something like this. You know, when you say minus minus, decreasing by 1, plus plus, increasing by 1, but you can do something like this. Num loop plus equal to 2. Okay, when we do something like this, we are increasing by 2. Okay, we are increasing by 2. It is similar to something like this. Num loop is equals to num loop plus 2 instead of plus 1 now, because we say plus equal to 2. Okay, when I say plus equals to 5, I'm increasing by 5. Okay, when I say plus equals to 1, it's just the same thing with plus here. Okay, so here you are trying to specify the increment number you want to use. Okay, that is the one for plus equal to. Okay, we can do the one of plus minus equal to, sorry. If you say minus equal to 5, we are now decreasing by 5. Okay, we are now decreasing by 5. If you say minus equal to 1, we are just doing minus. Okay, if we say minus equals to 12, we are decreasing by 12. Okay, let me comment this, then I will run this code in the one we have. Okay, so when we talk about increment or decrement statement, these are the way we use it. We don't do num equals to this. We can say plus equals to 5, minus, plus, or minus equal to the number we want to decrease from. Okay, let me do it here. Since I'm in a negative side, let me say minus equals to 4. Okay, then let me increase this to a kind of 40, right? So here now you will see that I will be decreasing by 4. The first one will show 40, second one will show 40 minus 4, which is 36. The other one will show 32. Just by it will be decreasing by 4. Okay, let's run this code and see. Okay, you see the first one I have 40, right? The second one I now have 36. Okay, I have 22, 28. It will keep on decreasing by 4 until we reach the last statement, which is 4, that will make it less than 1. Okay, this is for decrement. What about increment? When we say plus equals to 4, it simply means our statement here will change. Okay, here becomes the 0, here now becomes the 40, in the sense that we are starting from 0, incrementing it. Once we increment up to 40, we will stop. Okay, let me run this code. Let's see. I think something is wrong somewhere. Let me look at this code again. Okay, is there any place I'm making mistake? I don't think so. Okay, let me open the Explorer and run this afresh. Okay, it's not still working. Let me check out where this error is coming from. Okay guys, I have seen it. I'm saying greater than 40. It will not work, okay? Because this 0 is already, this is greater than 40. This should be less than 40. Okay, should be something like this. Okay, you see the code runs. Okay, increasing by 4, 8, 16, okay, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28. Okay, it will now stop. Okay, yes, because here we says this is 0. If this loop is less than 40, okay, increase and work, and you can see that this 0 is less than 40. But when we say greater than 40, this 0 is not greater than 40, so this code will not run. So we'll say less than 40 here, but when we are using negative signs, we still change this around. Okay guys, that's all for the loop, for loop, and I have used this video to explain the increment stuff. Okay, so in the next video we are just looking at the while loop and the do while loop. Thank you so much. Bye bye.